good morning. Welcome back to Life Lessons Radio. I'm your host, Rick Tocquigny. Thanks for joining us on America's fastest-growing radio show, Life Lessons. We really appreciate you listening in, and just want to bring a special note to you that on this coming Thursday, we've got Dr. Gary Chapman on, who is the best-selling author of 5 Love Languages, and we've got books to give away on that show for callers, and we really are looking forward to that show. Also want to just thank last week's guest, especially Bill Mooney, who was the famous Will Robinson on Lost in Space. We really appreciated that show, and make sure and visit him at his website, billmooney.com, and learn more about him. Hey, today's guest is PJ Jonas, Patricia Jonas, and she has got a fantastic company. Let's see if we can get PJ on the line.
I'm here, Rick.
Oh, very good. Glad to have you on. Hey, let me give a little bit of an introduction on your company, and then we're going to jump right into the questions. Does that sound good?
Sounds wonderful.
PJ and her husband Jim have 8 young children. Fantastic. They're living the American dream, turning their Indiana goat farm into a thriving business with goat milk stuff. They're marketing homemade, luxuriously creamy, chemical-free goat milk soaps, as well as lotions and lip balms and other great products. And we're going to be asking PJ some wonderful questions. She was inspired to start soap making after being concerned about the chemical ingredients in most shampoos and bath products. So sounds like it started as part of being a responsible parent. And PJ, we're welcoming you to our show, and we'd love to know the rest of the story. Tell us about, first of all, how you and Jim met and got into this crazy business.
Jim and I met back at the University of Virginia. He was actually a year ahead of me, and I met him my first weekend that I was there. So we were pretty much together, got married shortly after college. We had our first child back in 1996. And I left the workforce shortly after that to become a stay-at-home mom. And we just kept having children. We've got a total of 8. My oldest is now 13, and the youngest is 3. And we moved out here to Indiana about 6 years ago. And I'd been concerned about, feeding my family healthy food and making sure the products that we were using were not loaded with chemicals. And I was really surprised one day to realize that the baby wash that I had always used was pretty much petroleum-based chemicals. And I decided right then and there that I was going to start making my own that was healthy for the children.
Sure.
A couple years after that, we started selling it, and it has just taken off. The feedback has been tremendous, and we can barely keep up with it.
That's good. And so I'm going to ask you probably some of the most common questions asked about your business. But, this show, PJ, is first and foremost about life lessons, and it always honors stories regarding parents. So I must ask you, before all the other business questions, tell us about your mom and dad and any special life lessons that you learned from them.
My mom has always been a tremendously hard worker. She really taught us the value of an education and the value of hard work in getting the things that were important to you. And for my dad, he was a lover of life. He just enjoyed everything, especially his children. He took such joy in all the little things that we did, and both of them left a really big mark on me.
Mm. And so have you been able to carry those wonderful virtues forward with your 8 children?
I sure do try. The children are definitely learning the value of hard work. When you've got a large family, there's quite a bit of work to do, and everybody pitches in to help get the work done so that we can then have fun family time. And we kind of, live by the motto, you work hard and you play hard. So I kind of try to combine both of what my parents taught me.
Mm. Did you also have exposure to your both sets of grandparents when you were growing up?
I did. My maternal grandparents lived, we all lived in the same city, so none of them were very far. And my grandmother was very Italian, so we had a love of learning to cook Italian food and just the big Italian family. And my paternal grandfather actually died when I was very young, but she was just a lover of life as well. She turned everything into a big fun fest whenever we were around.
This lover of life is an interesting term that we haven't heard in ages. Is that just from this zeal to live a full life and get as much fun and everything you can out of life itself, like squeezing a lemon and squeezing all you can?
Well, I think with my dad, his dad had died when he was pretty young, and he'd had to work hard to help support his family. And he learned very young that spending time with family and enjoying the moments that you have with them are very important. And he just took that with him for the rest of his life, and everything that we did with him and all the time, it was all about building memories and making special events.
Sounds like that has gone straight into your business today.
I like to think so. We had wanted for a very long time to have a family business where Jim could be home and working with the children and side by side and teaching them lessons as we lived. And, we try to make working in the soap business a fun thing. We're all together. We've always got music playing, and when we go and do festivals and whatnot, we make a lot of friends and enjoy all of those times. So it is something that we try and teach them as well.
You've got a great story going on. Let me ask this as well. Do you, is part of the whole business education, does it have its foundation in homeschooling the kids, or do they go to a public school?
No, we do homeschool. We, believe very much that a strong work ethic is very important to becoming a fully educated person. That it's not just all about book smarts. You have to be able to use what you learn and apply it to the real world. And that large part of valuing your education is not just taking it for granted and knowing that it is a gift, and you have to work towards that as well.
Well said. These are tough times for a lot of Americans, and you and your husband and the flock of 8 have this go-get-'em attitude.
Absolutely.
What advice do you give to Americans that have been laid off from their jobs and who have lost confidence in themselves?
If you have a product that you believe in, whether it's a product or a service, and that it's going to add value to people's lives, then that's something that there are people out there who need, and you can get behind that, and you can feel good about sharing that with other people.
Yep. It's kind of back to having some core beliefs in what you're producing and core beliefs in your own ability and your family, and so it's really interesting. I love that. Okay, let's get down to some soft questions for the matriarch of goat milk stuff.
Matriarch, I'm not sure I like that.
When did you actually make your first batch of soap?
Ooh, now you're stretching the memory banks. It was probably about 5 years ago. It was probably about then.
And who helped you in that first process?
I spent probably about a full week, like 30, 40 hours researching online about soap making, because there's a lot of good information out there and there's a lot of really false, bad information out there that'll make things kind of dangerous for you. And then I had a friend who had made, not goat milk soap, but just regular soap before, so the two of us got together one afternoon and we made our first batch of goat milk soap together.
That is so great. What did you learn in that first week of the scientist in trying to come up with the absolute best formula?
It was so much fun watching the soap actually become soap that first time. when you make it, you start out with all liquids, melted oils, and stuff like that, and as you stir it and stir it and stir it, it starts to thicken up and harden, and the chemical reaction takes over, and it becomes soap. And I remember waiting for the first. You have to then let it sit for about 24 hours before you unmold it and cut it, and cutting it and being like, wow, it really looks like a bar of soap, And we just, when we first started using it, because like I had said, I made it for the children just because I didn't like the chemicals. When I put it in the shower, my husband's fingers stopped cracking and splitting. And I was like, okay, this is not just looks like soap, but this is really good for your skin soap as well.
How about that? When you have your children involved now, are they involved in certain levels of production versus the youngest?
Absolutely. The little guys can do stuff like bag the soap. We put the soaps in a little cotton bag, and then they can put the business card in. They do stuff like that. The youngest ones help me when I bottle the liquid soap. They love to put the little plastic caps on top of the liquid soap and move it from the table I'm working over to where it's going to be kept and help with the labels and stuff like that. And then the older boys, they're the ones who do almost all the goat work. They milk the goats both morning and night. They do all the cleaning of the stalls and feeding of the goats and all of that kind of care. And my daughter, who's the oldest, she pretty much does just about everything. Her specialties are she makes the bath bombs and the lip balms and lotion sticks, and she does a lot with shipping out the internet orders.
What's the long-term vision for from you and Jim's perspective? Are you wanting to build this up to a point of selling it, or is this a lifetime journey for all of you?
My goal is I would love to have the business continue to grow and be big enough so that when the children are old enough, they have a choice whether they want to work in the family business or do something else. But I want the business to be there so that if they choose to work it, it's there for them. And, hopefully their families as well someday.
Sure. We've been studying on this show a book called Do You Matter? How Great Design Will Make People Love Your Company. And the essence of our discussions have been around customer needs and product that emotionally answers that need. Why are customers so emotionally in love with your goat milk stuff?
I think, number one, they really enjoy the fact that it is handmade by a family that cares. We put a lot of ourselves into our products, not just with our time, but when we ship out orders, they get a little personal note from my daughter, and we're very quick to answer their questions and meet their needs. But also just the soap itself really helps people with some of the skin issues that some of them have been dealing with for years. I was very surprised at the initial response that we got from people with skin conditions like eczema and psoriasis, how they were saying how, they'd itched and suffered for so many years, and they started using the soap, and it just went away. And then we started getting responses from chemotherapy and radiation patients who apparently the treatments make their skin very brittle and easily damaged, and they're using our soap, and it's helping them with that. So I think the fact that it meets a lot of their needs that, the dermatologists and the steroid creams weren't helping with helps a lot.
It sounds like it, and for the number of patients that are going through chemotherapy today, it may meet that very special need, which is really listening to the customers at their deepest level.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page that we're pretty active on, and we have a lot of people interacting with us there and telling us what they would like, not just only what fragrances they would like, but what kind of new products and different things like that. Our liquid soap we had in research and development for about 6 months really kind of came out of our Facebook page and people saying, we really want liquid soap. So we try and be very responsive that way to what the needs are as well.
Within our own company, Artbeat of America, we are known for learning lots of lessons and also known for some pretty famous mistakes. And one of the things that we do, PJ, is we have funerals for bad ideas. Have there been any bad ideas within your company that are that you look back now with perhaps a different sense of humor?
We really have not had one yet. I'm sure that it's going to come down the line at some point, but most of the things that we expand into are only things that I have tried personally and our family uses and that we love. So if I can't get it right for us, then we don't even try to get it right for somebody else.
That means, well, that's good.
Yeah.
But if you are on this perfect arc of not making any marketing mistakes, then bully for you. But also the kids will learn a lot from mistakes, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I didn't say we didn't make any mistakes. We do those all the time. We have the children do a lot of the shipping, and they'll forget to put something in the package all the time, so we just send it right back out.
Oh, I love that. The success of design-oriented companies also is about a vigilance to keep looking ahead to the next customer need and the next product. Tell us about how that Facebook or blogging feedback process is helping you think about the next need that may exist.
Right now, what people are telling us they want the most is body wash and shampoo. So we've started testing that out to see whether we can come up with a superior product as well in those. Some of the issues we're dealing with, like the body wash, for example, is most commercial products are very thick because they use chemical thickeners to make it a nice gel-like substance. So we're having issues with trying to come up with a natural way of making a nice thick body wash. So it takes time to figure that out because we have to come up with something that I would be comfortable using on the children's skin and not just something that, I can sell for somebody else out there.
Sure. They're now shipping internationally. At what point will you start to turn your attention to how emerging cultures across the world may use your product, and you may be able to develop plants or build plants in those countries that could employ people within the countries themselves?
If you have a wet cough caused by mucus, the wetter the better.
I've actually been talking a little bit about that. My husband and I were daydreaming a couple of days ago about when the children were old enough to take over that we were going to retire to Greece and just go and make soap in the Greek countryside someday and kind of bring it out there. Right now, a lot of that will depend on how the children react as they start to grow up and get older, and whether or not it looks like that's something that they want to be doing long term. Whether we move out to other markets as well.
Yeah, that's a good open-minded perspective. You can't force your children to go to the University of Virginia and or to business. At some point, I think the healthiness I can hear in your voice is one of you will lead, you'll guide, you will be a good mom and a good business leader, but you can't always force them into the management of the company.
No, I mean, the purpose of starting the business in the first place was to strengthen our family. And it doesn't strengthen the family at all for me to force the children into doing something that they don't want to do. We want to be able to allow them the opportunity to become who God has created them to be and to really succeed in what it is that they've got their heart set on doing.
Mm-hmm. And just because mom and dad's passion is built around this wonderful business model and family building model doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be their passion.
True. I'd be very happy if they are thrilled with family life. If they value having a strong family, a close family, then I'll consider myself a pretty good success.
Very good. Let me take a commercial break here for about seconds and let you catch your breath. I just want to thank our sponsors, Maui Joe Coffee You can go to MauiJoeCoffee.com and find out more information about them. Wonderful coffee, blends various coffee beans from around the right parts of the world. Also want to thank Gracefully Yours greeting cards. We think it's the finest greeting card company in the United States, combining regional and nationally known artists along with scripture and just the right verse. And we send out Gracefully Yours greeting cards every week. You can buy those at gracefully-yours.com or at Lifeway, Family Christian, most independent Christian bookstores, Amazon.com as well. Now back to PJ. When you look back on what you've accomplished with your husband, what would you be doing if you were not doing goat milk stuff?
That's kind of a loaded question. I'd still be teaching the children. We'd probably be spending more time doing some of the things we were doing before, like pretty intensive gardening and raising animals, and we were pretty self-sufficient. Before we started the business, we kind of had to back off from some of that as the business has taken so much of our time. But really just same thing, focusing on the family and what we do here.
Well, I love that. From a marketing perspective, our company, we have a division of our company that is into brand management. We would really recommend you guys making a YouTube video and launching it, and I think it would be interesting to watch your family, not to be intrusive like Kate Makes 8, but to watch the activity and the success, and then to hear the dinner table conversation about what happened during the course of the day, and that would bring to life even more personality throughout your company. What do you think about that idea?
I have my blog that I do, which is the purpose of my blog is really just for me. It's just to capture a bunch of the family memories and the things that we do. A lot of people have gotten to know our family and the individual personalities really well through that. And we do a lot of flip videos that we put on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel that will make its way into the blog as well. We haven't done anything kind of posed. It's more just candid stuff as we're out and about doing things. But yeah, it's something that we would love to do.
Yeah, I'd love to see it because obviously it's a company that's got a lot of heart and soul. It looks like to us that you are the next Burt's Bees. That's a natural company with the right wholesomeness, the right intent, but it's so interesting that you're building it around your family in such a real, authentic, and I would say faithful way as well.
Well, thank you. It's, the business is very much a reflection of who we are. We would never put a product out there that we did not personally believe in and that we did not personally use. And the children are very much knowledgeable about all areas of the business, and they can speak to you about just about any part of it because they live it day to day.
Mm-hmm. Reading on your website, goatmilkstuff.com, the testimonies, and if I may read one, this says, this is coming from Jessica in Massachusetts. The package just arrived so fast. See, PJ, what really matters to people is that it arrives the next day.
That comes out from my personal thing. When I order something on the Internet, I want it there now. I don't want to wait for it. So we work very hard to ship out the order the same day that it comes in, and we send it priority shipping, so it only takes 2 to 3 days to get there. People who are here in Indiana or close by in Kentucky usually get it the next day, and that's something that we work really hard to do.
She goes on to say that the oatmeal milk and honey soap is a godsend. What is up with the oatmeal milk and honey soap that makes it so great?
The oatmeal milk and honey soap is our top seller. It's by far people's favorites. It's got a warm almond kind of base note smell, so it's just that homey kind of feel, and then it's got the honey scent on top, which is just a clean, very attractive fragrance. We've got a lot of women use it on their face. It's gentle enough for their face. I have people tell me all the time that they could wear it like perfume if we had it, which we kind of do with the solid lotion sticks, but it's an awesome bar of soap.
Here's Billy in Tennessee who says, "Hi, PJ, I'm loving this soap you gave me. Thank you so much. We are using the black raspberry right now." Now, black raspberries in Tennessee, there's a real affinity for fruit there. I have to laugh about you've gone really deep into the culture of certain states, and you've tapped into something that's very intuitive and important to people.
Well, it's funny how well the food smells tend to resonate with people. They're the ones that a lot of people just really are drawn to. And the black raspberry is actually my daughter Brett's favorite, so she's always telling people to try that one because she thinks it's the best.
Sure. Hey, where can people buy your product? Because I noticed this note from Christina in Kentucky who bought soap in Louisville at Amazing Grace.
Yep, that's one of our retail outlets. They carry it. We have it online at our website. Like you said, it's goatmilkstuff.com. And then there are some retail stores around the country. You can find a page on our website that tells what stores we have it in. We've also started a new program this year where we have what we call distributors, which are just other families, other moms and dads and husband and wife teams that are out there selling our soap at local craft shows and local businesses and things like that. And then we go to a lot of craft fairs as well throughout the year.
Well, that is excellent. Well, with 3 minutes remaining, I've got to get in a few more life lesson questions. If we had your eldest, I believe it's daughter, online with us today, the 13-year-old, what would she say is the greatest life lesson that Mom has taught her so far?
I think she would probably respond that she knows how to be a wife and a mom someday. She and I talk all the time how most of the stuff that I have learned, I've had to learn from scratch, either through the internet or books or just trial and error, and I've really been able to teach those to her so that she'll be able to just pick them right up and go with them if that's what she chooses to do someday and save herself a lot of time and mistakes.
Well said. Last question for you, PJ, before I let you promote your company some more, is if you were to address a class of expecting mothers and fathers for their first child, what advice would you give them relative to parenthood?
My first advice would be to figure out how to get that child to sleep well. I think a lot of families suffer because they don't let the kids kind of cry themselves to sleep a little bit sometimes, and mom is needed every minute, and that really makes for a tired, worn out, grumpy, and unhappy mom. I think that is just important for mom and dad to take care of mom as it is to take care of the baby, and then to just really focus on doing what it takes to make the family the center, to realize that business is not the center, education is not the center, the family is the center. It's the building block that everything else stands on.
Well stated. Okay, for those of you that want to listen